Alright, so the Battlefield beta is in full swing, and I've played it for a fair amount now, trying to decide whether I want to buy this game or not. With all the Battlefront 2 problems, the lack of content in the live service, I've had to wonder if we will see a repeat with Battlefield 5. So yeah, I have played it a good amount. I've had mixed emotions about the game along the way. I started off by hating it, then I couldn't really decide if I liked it or not. And now I feel a bit differently, so let's go over what I don't like and what I do like about Battlefield 5. Starting with the graphics, Battlefield games have always had a wide array of graphics options, especially on the PC, but so many that are frankly useless and turned on by default, like chromatic aberration. Nobody really likes that setting. Motion blur, nope, don't like that one either. Vignette is a bit of a silly setting for gameplay, it's more of a photo setting, and lens distortion is just annoying. So these are all pretty pointless settings that someone has had to make work in this game, and I would say 90% of players turn these off when they realise what they do, so you could say wasted effort has gone in there. It's a small nitpick that I have, but I thought I'd mention it as a lot of people also have this nitpick with the game, that they've always got to go into the settings at the start of a Battlefield game or a DICE game and go, I want to turn these off. Maybe they should be off by default and then you can turn them on instead. Moving on to the more important things in order that I noticed them. The next point here was going to be the time to kill being too fast. Obviously that differs from person to person, but after playing it a bit more, I would say that it's more inconsistent. Sometimes people just seem to drop, and other times you get like 97 damage on them. I've had it all like 91, 92, 93. It's weird. I don't know what's going on. Obviously, I guess this has something to do with engagement range, but I've also noticed across the weapons that some feel a lot stronger in their base state than the other classes' weapons. The base STG, for example, for the assault felt really strong and actually loses damage when you upgrade it, whereas the supports weapons all seem to start out weak and only feel better once upgraded. There's also the fact that hitboxing seemed off at times, so I felt like I was getting damage for the wrong area that I was shooting. And that nasty spawn protection, I have to mention that as a player with the spawn protection could pretty much absorb a whole mag, turn around and kill you. I'm not a big fan of this system at all. Moving on to the next point, I'm going to mention snipers, and they seem to be everywhere once again in this game. I know some people love sniping in games and I quite like it myself, but I would like to see a limiter. Why, you might ask? I want to stop so many recon classes popping up in one team. Yes, they are useful, but not the most useful class. If most of your team is a recon class, you are going to lose the game. I've seen it too many times already, sides full of snipers getting stomped, and a limiter would at least get some people to play something different and attack capture points or objectives for once. I'm sorry guys, but not everyone can be a sniper. Concerning the rifles themselves on the recon class, I believe there isn't any sweet spot mechanic anymore. They only deal a certain amount of damage based on where the bullet hits and how far away the target is. That is a far better system in my opinion than the previous game, and I feel the sweet spot mechanic in that one made snipers far too strong. Overall, when thinking about the feel of the weapons in this game, I originally felt like Call of Duty had infiltrated Battlefield and they had a baby, named it Battlefield 5. The weapon mechanics feel simpler than Battlefield 1 in my opinion, maybe easier to use in a lot of ways. I played Call of Duty World War II for a very brief time last year, and some of the weapons here gave me the same feel. I'm not saying that it's a terrible thing, but it just doesn't feel quite as nice as the previous game's weapons did to me. I know some people prefer this new feel though, and I guess it will probably grow on me the more I play it. Further to that, if we look at the weapons in the beta, there are currently 4 for each class, except for the Recon, who only has 3. Now this makes me think of Battlefront 2, where we still only have 4 weapons for each class. Remember in Battlefield 1, we got to see a lot of new weapons in different variations for each class, but here in the beta of Battlefield 5 we are seeing very few. That does worry me a bit, as this game will be getting the live service treatment, and I can only hope they add more weapons than they have done in Battlefront 2. That of course being 0 weapons, so yeah, definitely more in this game please. And before you comment it, I know some of the weapons from Battlefield 1 are being added to Battlefield 5, I think as a pre-order bonus, but still they aren't new weapons, so I hope to see a detailed roadmap early on in this game's life detailing what new weapons, maps and other things we'll be getting. Now, instead of the weapon variations that we saw in Battlefield 1, what they seem to have opted for here is the new buy another weapon system, where you can get multiples of the same weapon and customize it with upgrades for, say, the desired range or map. Each weapon has this new skill tree system, so you can have the same weapon but make it work in different ways, so I'm thinking this might be the new variation system instead of adding multiple variations like they did before. I don't mind this too much, as a lot of weapon variations weren't used in Battlefield 1, so at least here we'll be using a weapon that we've upgraded to work the way that we want it to. This does create a bit of a gap between new players with base weapons and those players with upgraded versions, but it doesn't take too long to get a weapon upgraded, so I think it's fine. Let's talk a bit about armor now, and tanks currently feel far too weak in Battlefield 5. Part of this comes down to how much you can see around you, and another part is often the weird spawn locations for infantry, and another thing is that the maps used in the beta are too small for good tank gameplay. When you first look at the map, you see this big, beautiful design space, but with the two maps seen here, they are full of narrow roadways, buildings and corridors, which doesn't work great for vehicles. I've not seen anyone do well in a tank so far, normally dying within 5 minutes of spawning, so I think they just need to open up the maps a bit more in certain areas and possibly increase armor strength. I'm not sure. Just feels a bit too easy to kill the armor in the beta. Also, when thinking about the maps, just like in Battlefield 1, I don't think they've shown off their best maps here in the beta. At least I hope they haven't. The Sinai Desert shown off in the BF1 beta turned out to be my least favourite map in that game, and the Navik map in this beta is on the same level for me. I don't mind Rotterdam, it's a great looking map and perfect for infantry fights, but I would have liked to seen a larger scale map shown off here too, where the vehicles could have been used a bit more. So other problems I just want to list off quickly to keep this video a little bit shorter. Penetration on walls and objects is not consistent, bullets go through certain things but not others when they definitely should. Hit detection is a little off. I duck behind cover every so often and then get hit in the head. Client side hit detection playing up a bit there. Players at distance are bouncing around a lot, rubber banding all over the place, made me think I was on the wrong server a few times. And graphical issues, water is completely clear underneath, you've probably noticed that, and some objects are even see-through. Now there are of course a few more, but this is what I've mainly noticed. I know what you're going to say, Drax, this is a beta, and yes, you can clearly see a lot of work is still needed to fix some of these issues. With 2 months now until release, with that delayed release, I hope they can deliver a finished product in time. I think that if they kept to their original release date, it would not have been ready. We would have been playing an unfinished product. So maybe they did it for a better release window, but in truth they needed to delay based on what I've experienced. What I will say is that despite all these little issues, I have grown to enjoy the game over my time playing. I of course love the way it looks, DICE never really fails in this area. I love the team play aspect with the low ammo and need for a medic. Good teams really shine in this game. Maybe it ruins the flow a little, so a little bit more ammo would be nice as standard, and extended mag weapons should spawn fully loaded. I like the new building system, even though it does feel like a prototype version. I love the way the game sounds, a lot of the sounds are spot on in this one. And I love the movement system, very fast, free flowing, allowing you to fire during movement such as voting. I think that's a great step forward in a shooter and a big plus for me. Now concerning the other vehicles in the game, the planes, I haven't really played with them much during the beta. What I will say is that they look amazing and sound great, but the physics on them feel nasty. I don't know what DICE has done here, but it needs changing. By far the worst plane physics I've seen in any game that I've played. If you don't believe me, you can see what other channels are saying or test it out for yourself if you get the chance. It just don't feel quite right at the moment. Worse than Battlefield 1, worse than War Thunder. I don't know what's going on with the planes in this, but I'm really hoping that they change it before launch. Being more positive, the best thing that I've seen here is the V2 rockets hitting a designated target, taking down the whole building. The visuals and sounds there, you've got to love that. I don't think seeing that will ever get boring in this game. As a squad lead, you gain points during the course of a battle, and you can call these in, and man, do they make an impact.
Auf diese Position! In Ordnung, euer Luftschlag kommt! Good work, Objective Bertha taken! Objective Emil is lost.
So yes, overall I do like the game. The more I've played it, the more I've liked it, so I'm actually going to give it a 6 out of 10 in its current state. There's nothing really groundbreaking or totally amazing in Battlefield 5 for me, but I have enjoyed playing the beta, so I hope they can get all the problems fixed and improve on the game for launch. What's holding me back from purchasing this game is what EA have done to Star Wars Battlefront 2. I pre-ordered that game, and within a few months, with all the loot box controversy, they stripped the game of its developers and left it with a very small team to work on it. And considering the Battlefield 5 sales so far, reportedly being very low, and the amount of people saying that they won't buy this game, we could see a repeat of Battlefront 2 happen again. I would hope not, because this is EA's flagship shooter series after all, but then I didn't expect them to treat the Star Wars fans that bad either, as they pretty much abandoned the live service for months. Only now is Battlefront 2 starting to see some actual content in its future. So can I say just buy the game? No, I won't say that. What I will say is that if you've enjoyed the beta a lot, then you'll probably enjoy the game at release more, so in your case I don't want to hold you back on some principle. Games are meant to be overall fun, and if you've had fun over the beta, then I don't see why you shouldn't go ahead and get the game. Personally, I think that waiting for the launch would be my recommendation, so you can see if they fixed the issues seen in the beta and also grasp what content will be available. So there you have it, that is my Battlefield 5 beta thoughts. I hope you have found this video helpful in some way. As always, I thank you very much for watching. I look forward to reading your thoughts on the beta in the comments, and I'll see you next time.